All right. Hey guys, how are you all doing? I'm Atresh Kiran. I'm currently the DSE technical lead. I'm also interning in a startup, and I day to day on a day to day basis I deal with Android fundamentals and app development and things like that. So today we'll be having a very basic introduction session on how to get started with Android and Kotlin. Uh, so so this is a part of the campaign. As you all know, there's a new campaign by DSC, which is organized called the Android Study Jam Sessions. And this is a part of that campaign. And this is one of, I think, 4 sessions which we'll be having. And in these sessions, we'll be covering various topics and from basics of Android to professional coding with Android. We won't be dealing with the Java aspects of it. So in this, since as you all know that Android has become Kotlin first by Google, and it's more efficient to program in Kotlin and learn Kotlin these days. So this entire campaign is focusing on developing apps and learning about more about Android with Kotlin as a base. So we'll get started. So this session is going to be very short and simple. It's just going to be an introductory session of the whole campaign and how you can proceed with it. So yeah, before we start, is there any questions, or we'll just start off with the introduction and how it's going to flow? I'll just share my screen. Please let me know if it's visible. Is my screen visible, guys? Okay, great. So to start off with the session, so why this entire thing? So why are we even? What are Android Study Jam sessions and how it's going to proceed? Right. So Android Study Jam sessions are the community organized study groups for people who to learn and develop Android apps through this entire online, training course. It's pretty much like what you guys do with Coursera or any other platform, but DSE as a platform this time. So this is being provided to all the community students of almost for free of cost, and it's a great opportunity for you guys to kickstart your journey on Android and get started with it. So this entire thing has been divided into 2 different tracks, you can say. So it is always, we recognize that there are people who have basically prior experience with Android, and there are people who are new to Android. So we want to give a platform for both of them, and probably a person who doesn't have any experience with Android as well to get started with Android, and then even take over a professional course over it. Right. So there are 2 tracks in hand which you can choose to get started with this campaign. The first one is the new to programming track, where you not only learn basics of Kotlin, but also get a little hinge over how things will work on when you start off with Android Studio and how to develop a very basic app by the end of that particular course. So this course, which is here, it is a course which will show you how to build. First teach you what Kotlin and its syntax and everything. So every new language has its own syntax. I mean, I totally believe that if you learn one programming language, you can adapt to any other language for sure. So just get started with Kotlin and how Kotlin functions, what the syntax of Kotlin is, and all that is being taught in this particular track. And then if you already have prior experience with Kotlin, and if you are confident enough that you can easily take on the main prior experience track, then you can definitely go ahead with this. And here you will learn about various, things like, we'll go on. In the further slides of the presentation, you will know what exactly the syllabus of each track is and how you can go about it. So the point here being, you have 2 tracks to choose: one for a beginner, for a complete beginner, and one for a person with a prior experience. Now, in the new to programming track, so what do you learn here? So here, like I said, it's all about the basics, and the prerequisites here are very, very basic. So basic computer literacy and math skills, because I think these are two skills that anybody should have and will have to get into coding and app development as a whole. So this entire slide deck will be shared with you guys. So no need to worry about. So these links which are here, so this curriculum links can be viewed by you guys as well. So this entire deck will be shared anyways. So moving on, so there are steps and what do you say, milestones for each track. So the first milestone over here being introduction to Kotlin. So you will learn about Kotlin and then how the language is working, and you'll be having there's something called a code lab interface. So in the code lab interface, you can code, and then it's a live compiler for Kotlin designed for this particular course, and you can use it anytime throughout this course. So you will also learn to create your first application, and it's going to look very basic and something like just putting an image on an application. And next you will have the third milestone, which is creating a basic layout, and the result of that is pretty much like this. So you'll try to make a result look like this, and then you will learn to add buttons to your layout. So each layout in Android will have different buttons, and so once you add buttons, you will learn about classes and objects and conditional statements and things like that. So I think by the end of this particular milestone, you'll be creating a dice roller app where you click on a button and it rolls a dice, and it rolls a die and you get a particular number. So you're generating a random number there. The fifth milestone of this particular track will be dealing with taking in user input, because that's one of the most important things, where you take you take your input from the user and then give him a particular output. So the fifth milestone of this particular track will be dealing with taking in user input, and then at the end of it, we'll be probably having an end screen which looks like this, where we will have what do you say? A form-like interface where you can submit a form by taking the input of the user. Next, in this track, we'll also learn about having scrollable lists. So you've all observed and noticed in your app, in your phone, where something like Instagram, there's a scrolling which is enabled, right? So if you want to have a scrolling interface in your application, use something called a scroll view. So how to deal with that, how to display a list of text and images, and all will be dealing with in this particular milestone. And by completing each of these milestones, you'll be receiving badges. So what are these badges? So as you can see, these fancy badges here. So as and when you complete each milestone, you'll be receiving these badges, and you can project them and showcase them on LinkedIn, or it will basically come into your developer account of DSE, and then you can showcase that anywhere outside on LinkedIn or any other platform. Next, this is about the new to programming track, and the next track that we will be dealing with is the prior experience track. So as I said, this is for people who already are familiar with how Kotlin functions and how Android app development actually works. So the prerequisites are pretty much having basic experience of object-oriented programming, and you know how to use an IDE. IDE is basically a development interface, and you're also familiar with GitHub, which is a version control version control platform. So another thing that I want to mention is that if you complete the programming track 1, which is new to programming, you're definitely, the prerequisites are already covered there. So whatever prerequisites of prior to programming track 2 is there, has been covered in track 1. So that's nothing to fear of. So if you're done with the track 1, you can definitely go ahead with track 2 and complete it as well. Now, again, I'll be sharing the decks, slides for these, so you can feel free to later on click on these links and understand more about the curriculum that is being used. And all the curriculum here is standardized by Google, so it's definitely worth your time and effort into learning something new, and you can definitely experiment more. So what do you learn in this particular track? So again, just like in the previous track, we have milestones. So first milestone is going to be building a Hello World application, because that's what every other programming tutorial will start with. So there's a hello world application that you're going to learn. And then there's also an estimate given here, if you guys have noticed, of how much time it would take for you guys to complete that particular milestone. So these are the badges. As you can see, these badges are what you'll be earning as and when you complete each of them. So this hello world application is your first milestone. The second one will deal with another something like a dice like application, but with more deep concepts and understanding. Next, you'll be dealing with layouts. So in Android, you have different layouts called relative layout, there's constraint layout, and things like that. So you'll be dealing with different kind of layouts and how content wrapping works and all that. Next, in the fourth milestone, you'll be dealing with navigation. So you all have heard of, there's not any app which is pretty much available having a single screen. So whatever we were talking about till now had single screens. So next we'll be learning how to deal with multi-screen navigations and how to move from one activity to another. So each screen is called an activity in Android. So you'll be dealing with how to move from one activity to another and creating a life cycle, creating a cycle there. And also in that process, you will also in the next milestone, you'll be dealing about fragment life cycles and things like how actually it works on a deep basis. So you all know that Android is basically a stack-based operating system. So everything works in a systematic order. So how it works, so what is the life cycle of it? So there are different functions that are being called in the life cycle of an Android activity. So there is the create function, and then there is something that's called on every time you resume it. And so things like that you'll be learning in this particular milestone. And then you'll be in the next milestone, you'll be dealing with components, different architectural components like view models and then transformations and things like that. So the end game of this is to have a Shard's game completed at the end of this milestone. Next, you'll be dealing with databases and recycler views. So recycler views are something similar to your scroll views, but for larger content. So in scroll view, you basically you load in all the, so for example, in your Instagram, you don't load, there are like a million posts. So you don't load all the million posts and then put them into a scroll view, right? You don't load all of them. You load them when needed. So that's how the recycler view works. It's a very crude way of explaining, but then you'll be learning more in depth in this particular milestone about it. And then in the eighth milestone, you'll be dealing with how to connect your app with the internet, use APIs to get images from the internet and then project it in your app. On the cloud where there's version control also involved. So you can create repositories and work manager, and we'll be dealing with things like that in this particular milestone. And then in the 10th one, you'll be given the freedom to develop your own application and come up with all kinds of new skills and ideas. And one application, this is a very interesting thing, is that one application amongst all of you guys at the end of the program can submit your own built application to me, and then one of these applications will be shortlisted and then sent to Google, and also will be featured in the Google meets what happened across the globe, and they'll also be shared on the Twitter and different social medias of Google. So each one of you have an opportunity to showcase your app there. So at the end of this, I would expect at least few people over here on the call to send over your applications, and then we can shortlist them, and the best one will be showcased by Google. So what is the equipment needed for each student? Right. So the basic things which needs is that a system which meets the basic system requirements of Android Studio installment. So you need to install Android Studio and work with it. You need to have a good internet connection for obvious reasons, because you need it for all the resources available. And if you have a better RAM, if you have a high RAM PC, then you can use an AVD, which is a virtual device, Android virtual device. But if you can't have a virtual device, then you can use your own offline device using a USB cable. So these are the requirements, and I'll tell you the flow of events which happen. So the first thing that will happen is that on Namrata, one of the core team members will now roll out a form where you can choose to select. You can select one of the dates which you want, where we can conduct an Android Study Jam session. So this was just an introduction where we discussed how we can get started with it. That's it. But we'll actually have sessions where we will have like around a 4 hour session, or I think it won't be a 4 hour session. I think it'll be about 1.5 hour session where we will go through each of these and we will solve it together. So we will solve each of these milestones together on call, and you guys can do it as well, and it'll be a very interactive session, and you can ask doubts as and when we proceed, and we will be solving each of these. So it'll be broken down in such a way that the first new to programming track will have one single day assigned to it. So we'll have a 1.5 hour session on solving the new to programming track, and then we'll have another 1.5 hour session on solving about half of the other programming peer programming track, and then another 1.5 session on solving the other half of this particular track. Right. So this was just the introduction, and we will be having long sessions in the coming weeks. So one of the core team members will now roll out a form which you can fill, and you can decide when you want to have the next session, and the date with the most number of votes will be chosen, and you can have it that. So I'll just show you how it's going to proceed. So after this meeting is over, after the session is over, you'll be getting a, a mail with two links in it. So this first link which you will get will lead you to the first course, which is Basics of Kotlin. So here you have Unit 1 and Unit 2. The guys who are who are enthusiastic and you want to start right away, you can definitely go ahead and start. One of the things you have to do is first sign in over here and then get started with it. So you sign in and then start exploring with Unit 1, and then go ahead and start exploring Unit 2. As and when you go, so you click on explore, and then so like I said, each has a milestone, what we discussed. So you go on explore here to enter this particular card, and then you watch the videos. You can and then get started, and then at the end there's a quiz that you need to take, because it's always better to validate yourself and assess yourself as and when you progress. So you can take this quiz, and if you qualify, then you can go to the next one, and then go to the next one, and so on. So we have a track of everybody and how much you've been progressing. So the ones who have progressed fast will be definitely showcased in our social media platforms as well, and projected that you've completed the track faster than people, and will have some kind of a very healthy competitive community in moving forward. So this is called Unit 1 and Unit 2. So this is the first Basics of Kotlin link which will be shared, and you'll also be shared another link for your the prior experience track. So the ones who have already had experience with Kotlin can go for this particular link, and then go ahead and start earning their badges about these. So these are two links that we shared. For the people who are new to Kotlin, I really appreciate you guys to take up the first track and then start exploring. And as soon as you're done with the first track, I think it will take about a maximum of a day to go ahead with the first track. And once you're done with that, you can take up the second track as well and get started with that. And then the ones who have
Ajay,
already, yeah, no,
the document link has been sent. If
okay.
people could respond to it, already 15 people have responded. The rest be may not have known that the link is already sent.
Yes, yes. So the link has been sent, guys. It's in the chat box of the Google Meet. So you guys can go ahead and respond there. So few people have responded. The ones who haven't responded, we're waiting for that. And so, yeah, the people who have prior experience with Android can go ahead and take up this track. And so, what's in it for you guys? So that's one of the questions which everybody will definitely ask. So, what's in it for me, right? So the ones who have taken up the first track, what are the perks you get? The main perk you get is that you have experience, right? Which is one of the most valuable things. And then the second perk you have is the badges. So each of these badges will appear on your DSC profile, and you can showcase them on LinkedIn or any other social media. And that'll be the thing for the first track, people who choose the first track. And also, now you've met the prerequisites for the second track, so you can go ahead and try the second track as well. But for the people who finish the second track, there's a special, a gift as well for them. One of the things is that they will be definitely mentioned in the, prioritized post in our DSC Instagram, where we will say that we will congratulate you for completing the second track. And also, these badges are of course there, so you'll be earning so many badges, and it's there on your DSC platform. And then you will also receive a certificate of completion, because this has been authorized by Google, and the curriculum for it is by Google itself. So you'll be receiving authorized certification with your name in it, and that you've completed the Android fundamentals course, and you have all the basic knowledge of development with Kotlin. So that'll be it for this session. And before we end with it, we have Namrata, who will be taking over and sharing a few more details about the upcoming events that are coming for DSC and what's geared up for you guys. So Namrata, you can take over from now. And guys, don't forget to fill the form which has been sent in the Google chat box, so that we know when to conduct the next thing. And a mail will be sent to you as soon as this session is over, so that you can start your Android journey. Thank you. We'll take questions at the end.
Atresh, can you stop presenting, please? Thank you. Is my screen visible?
Not yet.
Still not visible?
No.
No, not yet.
Atresh, can you just open the DSC WOW website and present?
Yeah. Just give me a second. Can you just send me the link over WhatsApp?
Wait, I just right away.
Yeah, is my screen visible, guys?
No.
Good evening, people. So DSC WOW is a 6-day event. In the first 4 days, there will be workshops and sessions for all the areas like web, ML, AI, VR, designing. And then there will be a 48 hours hackathon named Code of Duty, which is already mentioned. And the registrations are already open. Check them out. Thank you.
Great. So that was about DSC WOW, and the ones who are interested for it's going to be great if you guys can sign up for that and go ahead with the hackathon as well. It's 7th December to 13th of December. Okay, we'll take up questions. Is there anyone? You can unmute yourself if you want to, or you can just send your question over in the chat box. I think the team has done a great job in clearing doubts till now. So if there are any more doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask, or you can drop them in the chat box. None? All right. Okay, there's no doubts for sure. Can you give more information about? Yeah, guys, you'll be receiving a mail soon about DSE Wow and everything about it. So you can go ahead with it. Vinay Suryavamshi is asking, what do you mean by front end and back end? I'm not sure of the relevance, but for your information, front end development is basically dealing with anything a user sees. So it's seen on the front of the application. So it deals with UI and UX, which is user interface and user experience, and all that. And the backend development deals with storage of data, with storing in databases, or how you process the data and all of that. So the coding or the real processing involved will be backend, and then all the things that you see in the front, which is not visible as code, is called the front end. When will we receive mail for the links? You will receive it very soon. By tonight, for sure, you'll be receiving the links and you can get started with it. Also, I forgot to mention that the duration of this entire, exactly, the start date of the event. Yeah. So the duration is, it started on November 25th and then it goes on till January 25th. So you have a period of 2 months where we will also be conducting events and sessions throughout the journey and helping the people stuck in the track so that you can come up and then join the session and then continue with us. So in these 2 months period, you can complete these 2 tracks and achieve your certificate and your badges and everything. So what we expect as a community from you guys is that now you go register and you start working on it. And by the time we conduct the next session, we expect you guys to come over and ask doubts and, have this thing, what do you say? Have doubts and get it clarified by us in the session and also learn from the sessions there. Which should we prefer, Kotlin or Dart? So this again comes down to so this is a question which is usually asked. So why are we dealing with native Android development when we have Flutter, which is very much easy to develop? So what happens is that Flutter as a whole is definitely cross-platform, and then you can go ahead and develop things quickly. So they say Flutter is a prototyping language, right? So you can easily develop apps there for instant things. But when you go into deep, where you want to do things like, where you want to have multi-threading, or you want to have backend services involved, or something which has a hardware limitation, something like using your Bluetooth or your GPS and all like that, you need to again come back to native development. So for now, Google is putting Kotlin forward for as Android being Kotlin first. And so, you can get started with Kotlin if you want to do actual Android development and, exploit all the features of Android. But if you just want to do prototyping and make a very quick application and you want to have it cross-platform as well, then you can definitely go ahead with Dart and Flutter. Harsha, you're talking about the DSE WAV link or the one for Android session? So if it's for DSE WAV, you can definitely go ahead and register for DSE WAV right now. That's a different event. So DSE WAV is a different event, and Android Study Jam Sessions is a different campaign. So DSE WAV is a hackathon, and the Android Study Jam Sessions is a learning period of 2 months. That's just a 48-hour hackathon. So majority of the votes have been can't use Java instead of Kotlin. You can use Java instead of Kotlin, but then that's the thing. So if right now, if you're asking as a development purpose, then you can use Java instead of Kotlin for development as of now. But Google is pushing forward Kotlin to be first, so they will release more updates and update their dependencies more for Kotlin. But for this particular course, you cannot use Kotlin. You have to use only Java and learn Kotlin. Sorry, you cannot use Java. You have to learn Kotlin and use Kotlin for this particular campaign. Anurag, I have selected by mistake since I know. Not an issue, not an issue. You can have access for the new to programming topic as well. You'll be receiving both the links. Don't worry. So you can choose whichever you want and go ahead with it.
Atresh, what's the majority of the polls for the date of the next jam session?
Right. So we have received the majority of votes for the next jam session to be on 3rd of December. So I think we'll go ahead with 3rd of December, and we'll conduct the next session, which is new to programming course. So we'll be having a session on that.
Great.
Anurag is asking, can we have Python in app development? Like there are, I mean, that's not valid question right now when we're dealing with this particular campaign. But like if you want to use Python in the backend, there are some features you can use it. But for this particular campaign, you'll be dealing with only Kotlin and how you proceed app development with Kotlin. Right. So let's end the session here. At what time will the session be conducted? We will update the timing soon. I think we will start around somewhere in the around the same time, something like 5 to 6 o'clock after college timings for sure. And we'll proceed from there. So it'll be after college hours. You guys don't have to worry about your attendance or anything like that. Okay, guys, that'll be it for now, and we'll let you know. We'll let you know the times and anything.
Yeah, the next meeting will be on 3rd December because that's what the polls, like 3rd December had the majority of the votes.
Yeah. Right. Okay, guys. We'll end the session. Thank you so much for joining, and hope you guys all have a wonderful Android journey. And we meet soon in the next coming session. Thank you.
If
Wait
you
for the
guys have
mail.
any more questions, you can reach out to us in the DSC.
Yes. And also, we have also created a WhatsApp group for everybody
Yeah.
participating in this campaign. So the link for the WhatsApp group will be shared through that email, as well as someone can drop it in the chat box now as well. So you guys can join the WhatsApp groups, and your queries will be cleared there by the entire team, core team of DSC. Right. Thank you, guys. You guys can check out the mail and then choose your track, and all the best. Keep doing great work. And yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah, see you guys. Bye-bye.